Doug, I want to know where you see us headed because a lot of people see today unemployment 4% in the United States. We have GDP growth that's decent. The rate of inflation is still higher than the Fed target. The Fed's even talking rate cuts this year. So where do you see this all headed with the silent depression?
Well, first of all, it's a big mistake to trust the government's numbers. If you look at the way the government computed unemployment and the way it computed inflation back in 1980, it's very, very different from the way these numbers are computed today. And if you computed them the way they did way back when, in 1980, you'd find that our current unemployment is something more on the order of 10%. And current inflation is not 2%, 3%, 4%. It's also more like 10% or more. But with the amount of money that they've created, I mean, trillions of fiat dollars that have been cranked out of Washington in recent years, I expect we're going to see inflation go back to much, much higher levels. There's no limit to how bad it can get. And since the government has promised all these things to various pressure groups in the U.S., they have to be paid. Taxes aren't there to do it. Borrowing, they can't borrow anymore, especially as interest rates go up. And incidentally, I'd point out that because of the debasement of the currency, better phrase to use than inflation, debasement of the currency, it's an active thing that's done by the government and its central bank, whereas inflation, people think, well, maybe inflation is the fault of the butcher or the baker or the gasoline maker. No, it's not. Those people fight the effects of inflation. Inflation is something that comes out of Washington. So because the government has all these pressure groups that get all kinds of benefits, they're going to have to keep printing up money to pay for these things. And you're going to wind up in the same position as Argentina has wound up. In fact, it's going to be worse because unlike Argentina, which doesn't have any foreign involvements, they had a war with the Falklands 40 years ago, but there's basically no Argentine army. There's no Argentine navy to speak of. But the U.S. has 800 military bases scattered all over the world, very expensive to maintain. The natives aren't particularly happy to have foreign soldiers in their lands. And in addition to the war in the Ukraine, why we're involved in a border war between two countries is a mystery to me. And now we have Israel and Gaza dusting it up. Listen, I feel sorry for both sides. But on the other hand, a pox on both our houses. It's not our problem. This has been going on between these people for 2,000 years. And the U.S. getting involved in it is going to add on to our ongoing bankruptcy. There's new wars popping up all over the world that are going to cost us huge amounts of money. It goes on and on. It's a big problem. So we're looking at chaos, political chaos, economic chaos, the potential for a financial meltdown because the whole world is built upon a foundation of debt, which is a very unstable foundation to build things on. And of course, you've got all kinds of sociological problems, starting with the total and absolute corruption of the U.S. educational system, which is spread like poison throughout society. We're seeing that now, incidentally, with the presidents of Harvard and Penn and MIT, but all higher educational institutions in the U.S. suffer from the same problem. This is like a many-headed hydra where we can take any one instance of a problem in society, and when we examine it, you find that it's even worse than you might think. Like, for instance, I was talking about education. Your kids are being indoctrinated at great cost. And there are, I think it's the University of Michigan, has 161, I believe that's the number for the University of Michigan, DEI administrators. That's diversity, equity, and inclusion administrators, all earning over six figures. And what are they doing? Well, they're justifying their positions by doing absolutely ridiculous things in an education that should be about educating as opposed to enforcing somebody's goofy ideas of diversity and equity and inclusion. So anyway, we've got lots of problems beyond real estate and beyond the high level of rent that people have to pay today. Listen, it's so hard to build a new house, God forbid, build a new apartment building today. By the time you jump through all the hoops, local, county, state, federal. I mean, the cost of construction is probably twice what it should be because of regulations. I hate to be so gloomy.
You can watch this one next.